Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Breakfast is served, but before you stand up, I've asked Jackie to lead us in a short prayer, and we begin with breakfast. Jackie.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Can I please ask us to stand so that we pray? Lord, we are grateful for the gift of a new day. We are grateful for being here at this time in this space for this mission, the Imara Women's Center. We ask that you preside over our deliberations. We ask that this name will go far and wide, and that the purpose for which Imara is being set up will be accomplished. We pray as we go to have breakfast that you will bless the hands that made the food, bless us as we eat it, that it will be a blessing to others. In your name we have prayed. Amen.
Thank you very much. There are no ushers. Please help yourself to breakfast. Ladies and gentlemen, if we could take our seats and I'm sure you've enjoyed the breakfast, and those of you still having. We are expecting our guest of honor, who is the Honorable Minister Anite, Evelyn Anite. But to start us off, I want to invite Angel. Angel is a poet who is going to recite some poems for us. So I pray your attention for Angel.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so I'm under 35, and so we like our things vibrant, yeah? I'm part of the Imara youth strand, and I'm a spoken word performer. I'm a poet, so I sing and I perform poetry at the same time. And I'm going to perform 2 pieces today. One will need your engagement, and it's a piece called Njabala. So I'm going to teach you, a little song that hopefully you will sing along as I recite. Right? Is that okay? Yeah, okay. So this is how it goes. You will sing Tolin Sons, Njabala, 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 Abakazi Bali Naba. Bali mabati njabala, 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 njabala. So you can repeat after me. Njabala. There's so many ladies in the room, but I can't hear the sopranos. Okay, I will sing it alone. Njabala, 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 njabala. Tolin sanza muko njabala. Njabala, njabala, njabala. Okay, together. Njabala. Tolin sanza muko njabala. Njabala, njabala, njabala. Wonderful. I'm not hearing the basses though, so the men need to, pull up their socks. So when I point at you, you will come in. This is a piece on parental neglect. Just a bit of context, I don't think Njabala was a lazy girl. I think she was just not trained. Yes, so I speak as Njabala's mom. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you don't forget your part. Yes? Okay. Spare yourself some time, Njabala, 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 and listen to my rhyme. Njabala, Njabala, Njabala. Once upon a time, down by the river we go. Njabala, 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 Tolin sanza muko Njabala. Njabala, 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 Abakazi bali mabati Njabala. Njabala, Njabala, Njabala. This is how you dig. You dig deep and with grace, planting seeds of elegance. Years from now, when the gust of the wind passes through the land, it will mention your name. You dig like you're making love to the earth, becoming one with the richness of the soil. You dig like the nourishment of your people lies in the palms of your hands, because it does. Njabala. Tolin sanza muko Njabala. Njabala, Njabala, Njabala. Abakazi bayera bati Njabala. Njabala, Njabala. One more time. Tolin sanza muko Njabala. Abakazi bayera Njabala. Njabala, Njabala, Njabala. This is how you sweep. You pass the broom across all 4 corners of the room in swift strokes of integrity. So when your husband returns home from work, you will stand out from all the other three, but this goes beyond the confines of your compound and the four walls of your master bedroom. When I teach you how to sweep, I am teaching you how to lead, so that years from now, when you assume positions in government, become a so-called member of parliament, there'll be no need to spend thousands of Uganda shillings on anti-corruption bodies, because my Njabala sweeps with integrity. Tolin sanza mukon Njabala, 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 abakazi bafumba bati Njabala, 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 Tolin sanza mukon abakazi bafumba Njabala, 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 Njabala. Your kitchen is an emblem of unity. In it you prepare continents of spices and serve a revolution for dinner. I choose you, Njabala, because only you can play with knives and never get cut. Only you can play with fire and never get burnt. So what other leader is there, if not you? Tolin sanza mukon Njabala, 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 abakazi bafumba bati Njabala, 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 Njabala. Yes, I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah. Thank you. So this next piece is something that I wrote specifically for Imara. In the Imara Youth Strand, we have the Imara Youth Poets. And so we create content in honor of Imara. I think it's a very cool initiative. You can replace the word cool with whatever adult adjective, amazing, you know, the things you write in, you know, the documents. Yes, so this piece is called In the Detail, yeah? And this is how it goes. The future is female, and it's hidden in the detail. The future is female audacity to go against the patriarchy. It is autonomy and femme monopoly over each and every industry. The future is in the spaces we create. It is in how we choose love over hate. It is in the seeds that we plant and the flowers that we pollinate. It's in the billions of voices rising, moving in a collective stride to empower the girl child. The future is looking brighter than ever before, innovating and collaborating, mentoring and engaging. We are skilling and scaling, no longer dependent on pity and affirmative action. We are here because we have earned it. Forget the concept of inferiority, we have burned it. The future is female, and like every art piece, it is hidden in the details. Thank you.
I have Angela's number for all of you who... Good morning. I needed Angela to break the ice. My name is Henry Rugamba, and I'm working with Forode in the fundraising and marketing, committee. And there's Maria Odido is part of the committee, Jackie Namara is part of the committee, Dr. Aisha Sekadala is part of the committee, and so we are sort of the team from outside. And this morning, they outvoted me and elected me the MC for this morning. But that's not the only reason. There was a conference once where 100 men were attending the conference. It was a marriage counseling meeting. And they said, can all the men who listen to their wives stand up? 49 men stood up. One didn't. And they asked him, why didn't you stand up? He said, she told me not to. Now, we're starting this morning with a wonderful, wonderful video, the voices of the founders of Forward. I want to recognize Honorable Therese Jamwa, who is here with us. So, enjoy this video before we begin formally this morning's event. Thank you.
Forward. I hear some people call it Forward Day. With due Forum for Women in Democracy. Forward. I hear some people call it Forward Day. With due respect, that's wrong. We, the founders, shortened the name Forum for Women in Democracy to Forward. Forward is a play on the word forward because we began our organization with a strong vision and a desire to push our country forward, our continent forward.
I'm called Tezra Jamwa. I'm a former member of the Constituent Assembly, and I was also MP for West Dama North Constituency in the 6th Parliament.
My name is Beninya Muchibi. I'm a founder member of Forum for Women in Democracy. I've been a member since it was formulated, but during that time I was also a member of Parliament and a minister.
The idea of Forward Day being founded came about after we had written the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. We felt that with all the knowledge and the passion we had for women, especially women in politics, we could start an organization.
That's how we came up with the idea of forming an organization to promote the provisions of the Constitution, which covered women's rights and other marginalized groups. That was the purpose of our coming up with this organization, and we called it Forum for Women in Democracy.
So over the years, I think the organization has now been in existence for 27 years. We have seen so many women access political decision-making spaces in Parliament, in the local government, and we are really happy that the organization was the first of its kind to start this kind of mentoring of women politicians.
We are proud that we did build the capacity of especially members of the local councils, and through that we have seen them even come to aspire for propositions to be members of Parliament from that lower level. I can quote the example of our current Prime Minister. Our current Prime Minister was a member of the Council of Chibale District, but now he's now our Prime Minister.
Another thing that which we are proud of, we have Speak Radio, which is a community radio, and has been in existence for nearly 10 years. We have also started a circle as an arm of social entrepreneurship for the organization. And recently, about a year ago, we had a landmark groundbreaking because the organization had an idea of having a women center. And that women's center, we call it Imara. We acquired our own land. We feel Imara is going to be a landmark for women because it is the first center of its kind for women.
Imara will be a center of excellence. That is my vision of Imara.
Let's embrace this great idea that has been started by Forum for Women in Democracy. Let's all come together and support financially, morally, because this is our thing. This is what is going to bring us together. This is where a space where we are going to reflect on our lives.
We have proved we can do something, so trust us with this one. It will also be excellent.
See an important role for Forward in the next 21 years will be that of reclaiming, consolidating democracy in our country. And this is resulting in ever-increasing levels of inequality between regions, between men and women. All these access of inequality keep increasing. Women's lives are not what we want them to be. The majority of our women living out there in rural areas are still living lives of misery. So forward, it's time to celebrate, but it's time to re-energize them.
Thank you very much. I want to invite the Executive Director forward to make her address and tell us more about Ford. But at the same time, you'll be pleased to know I have a co-MC. Tricia is here, and she will be emceeing with me today. Tricia, you want to wave to everybody? She's not the tallest person, but she likes standing behind the room. So, Patricia. I'm standing down because Patricia said, you're not putting me up there.
Good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? We are very excited to have you with us this morning as we launch our Imara Women's Center brand. My role at this point is to take you through what the Imara Women's Center is, what our dreams are about the future, but we cannot talk about the future before we talk about where we have come from, what we've been able to achieve, some of the obstacles that we see, and how we plan to plug some of the issues that we see within the context as we move to the future. So the Forum for Women in Democracy, as you heard from the founders, was born out of the constitution-making process, 1994 to 1995. We are 27 years old this year. Our vision is a just and fair society where women and men equally participate in and benefit from decision-making processes. And our mission is to promote gender equality in decision-making. Our core mandate since we were born is to build and nurture women's leadership and to advocate for gender and economic justice. So I don't know what just happened to this. And I always have a plan B. So we are 27 years old. We were born out of a passion of 8 women in the Constituent Assembly that saw the need to provide a space through which women could be capacitated in order to participate effectively in decision-making spaces. So at Forward, we are proud to be part of a history that paved the way for women to have a voice in the public arena. We championed affirmative action. Because of the work of these 8 women, we got affirmative action into our constitution and many articles around women's rights
Women in
and
Democracy.
so on. We have led the way in nurturing transformative leadership for women's rights since we were born. We have strengthened women's political leadership and movement building by supporting the collective power of the grassroots. Through our work, we have supported women to navigate highly patriarchal spaces. And we have secured pioneering legislation for national budgets to give due consideration to women. Many of you may have heard about our gender budget work that culminated into Uganda being the first country in the world to have a gender and equity certificate in the law as a provision. We successfully lobbied for the Equal Opportunities Commission to promote equal opportunities for all, and we are a respected partner to different constituencies, and we celebrate constructive and critical partnerships with local governments, with parliament, and with different departments and agencies. So our work has paved the way for women to gain voice. We have nurtured transformative leadership, and we have helped women to win vital laws and resources. But our fight is about equality. We are not yet where we would like to be as the women's movement, as a country, and so a lot more needs to be done. In the work that we do, we see increasing pushback to some of the achievements that have been made. In the day-to-day work that we do as we promote gender equality and women's empowerment, we continue to see negative social and cultural norms that stand in our way. We also need to strengthen women's leadership in institutions and decision-making beyond the numbers. We are celebrated in Uganda for having the numbers that are beyond the critical mass, beyond 30%, as provided for in the Beijing Platform for Action. We have a female vice president, we have a female prime minister, we have women in key ministries, but we are saying beyond the numbers. Can these numbers translate into change for the women of this country? Uganda is a very entrepreneurial country, and it is said that 1 in every 3 businesses is owned by a woman. And yet when we go to corporate governance, women are nearly absent. We need to see women as part of the growth and leadership of cooperatives. We need women to be able to fully participate in the corporate economy, in the private sector, and to stimulate women's leadership. We must invest in strengthening the roles of women in leading businesses and address issues of abuse and discrimination in the workplace. And then we need to support activism for zero tolerance to sexual and gender-based violence, for women's safety, dignity, voice, and agency. We see increasing cases of SGBV. We see SGBV changing its face. And this is critical, especially as we launch the 16 days of activism against SGBV, which we begin tomorrow. So a lot needs to be done. We have made a lot of achievement. We have ticked off many boxes. We have a very good policy and legislative environment, but this is not transforming to the change that we would like to see. We would like to see an equal future for women and men in Uganda. And that's how at the Forum for Women in Democracy, we began to dream. And our dream bore us the Imara Women's Center. This is a dream that was born when we became 21 years. As we celebrated, we said, yes, we have come of age. What more do we need to do to be able to sustain the work that we do, and also to be able to raise the resources that can continue to support us in the changing contexts with the continuing emerging issues and so on. So Imara is a Swahili word for bold, strong, firm. We are saying that at the Forum for Women in Democracy, we are taking a bold move to continue to do work in the advancement of women's rights. So this is an initiative to anchor our work on the advancement of women's rights, and it is our contribution to the women's rights movement. All this work that we do with others in order to advance gender equality and women's empowerment. So Imara, will be our contribution to the overall work that we do as a movement in Uganda. So Imara will be both a visible embodiment of women's independent organizing, and it will also be a vital practical base from which to advance the struggle for gender equality. Why is Imara important? Imara is important because, as I mentioned earlier, there is increasing pushback of patriarchy as well as political capture of some of the gains that we have made so far. As an organization, we have modeled democracy, we have modeled human rights and equity in our governance and in our way of working. And in our view, much more needs to be done on the democratic front. So there is much more work to do. When Forum for Women in Democracy was born, we were a post-crisis country. We are now projected to become a middle-income country. What some of us may not know is that once a country becomes middle-income, there is a change in the nature of support that a particular country gets from development partners. So yes, we'd like to become middle-income. What does it mean for a sector that is largely dependent on development partner funds? So we need to bear this in mind, especially in view of the important work that we need to continue to do on gender equality. Our work with women leaders has demonstrated to us that women in leadership burn out, and they need spaces where they can rejuvenate, where they can heal, where they can take care of themselves and enhance their well-being. So the center will be a place for women to pause, to reflect, and to strategize on how they can play their leadership better, but also how they can make a more and better contribution to the work of the promotion of gender equality and women's rights. Movement building, we see this as a space to build movements of women in their diversity and also in the diversity of the talent that women have. We would also like, through the center, to encourage the collection and documentation of women's history. Many times, women's stories are not documented. So would like to take a deliberate effort through the Imara Center to collect and document women's history. We'll have a museum, we'll have an art gallery, and we'll have an exhibition space to showcase the work of female artists. So our proposed center is a place that will be joyful to work in and live in. And we are hopeful that through this space, we can create an equal future for women and men. So the center has two elements. It will have a leadership center where work around nurture, reflection, innovation, and inspiration will happen. This will have workspaces, and it will also have educational spaces. We will also have a residency, and this is where we renew, we re-energize, and we re-strategize. And in this space, we'll have recreational spaces, swimming pool, massage parlor, dance studio, spa, gym, to take care of our wellness as women, and then we'll also have residential space. What is our architecture about? We put a lot of thought into the Imara Women's Center. And the architecture of our building is mostly modeled around the African woman. It's in celebration of the African woman. It tells stories and evokes the strength and beauty of the African woman, of equality, of democracy, of feminism. So when you look at the structure and the spaces that we have, it shows freedom, it shows participation, it shows space, and these are part of the things that we are trying to espouse through the center. It incorporates concepts that are inspired by African architecture, and the general form of design is inspired by the African woman's headscarf. You know, women will usually have a headscarf tied around their head. The headscarf is used for various occasions, and we thought that the headscarf is a good symbol of women and the things that we hold on to that help us to keep together, but that also shows strength and elegance and so on. So I'll just show you a few pictures of the structure. So that's the main building. It will have 5 floors. That's the structure by night. That is, our building is going to be self-aerating. I'll talk a bit more later about environmental sustainability and what our thoughts were around that. So it will be self-aerated with an atrium, and so air will be able to circulate from the bottom through to the top. So we'll not need to use AC. That is an exhibition space. We will have auditoria where we can hold meetings. That is the reception to the building. This is the entrance. You know, as you come into the space, you can see that it is welcoming. This speaks to the African warmth and so on that I talked about earlier. That is the main building at a distance. And then we have the residency that I talked about with accommodation and swimming pool and all the other facilities. And that is what we think the rooms in the residency will look like. So generally, it is a welcoming space, a space that will enable reflection, learning, strategizing, while at the same time also generating an income for us to be able to sustain ourselves. So as we thought about this structure, we thought about sustainability. And we thought about it in 3 ways: environmental, social, and financial. So in terms of environmental sustainability, the design is inspired by the principles of the green architecture movement. So the green architecture movement believes in a philosophy that advocates for sustainable use of resources, conservation of energy, and making sure that as you place a building in an environment, you are aware of the impact that it will have on its surroundings. So we bore this in mind. And indeed, we will be using solar, we'll use renewable energy. We plan to drill our own water, tap into water from the rain and so on. And we'll also have, for example, gardens that have medicinal plants and so on. And so our natural environment will be fused well together with the building, and so one will be comfortable whether they are inside the building or outside of the building. Then we also thought about social sustainability. And so in thinking about social sustainability, we are thinking about creating a sustainable home that promotes well-being, that supports social and cultural life, social amenities, and systems for citizen engagement, and also a space for people and places to evolve. So a place for learning, for reflection, for inventing things, and so on. And then, of course, in terms of financial sustainability, it will enable us to move from donor dependency, because we are hoping that, once we are able to let out the space and so on, and also move our own offices into that building, it will reduce on our donor dependency, because as I mentioned earlier, donor resources continue to shrink, and so we need to think creatively about how we generate our own resources in order to be able to sustain the work that we need to do. So this center will facilitate women's independent voice. Many times, because of our donor dependency, some of our programming is driven by a donor agenda. We will be able to set an agenda and be able to support it with the resources that we have. Build and continue to strengthen women's leadership to champion gender equality. Beyond the numbers, can we begin to see a change in the lives of the women in a very meaningful way? Provide a space, a safe and empowering space, and support activism for zero acceptance of sexual and gender-based violence, a place for rejuvenation, for reflection, for nurturing, for healing, for creativity, for innovation. We will also be able to facilitate networks and connections to bring about togetherness for equality and women's rights, building solidarity, working across issues together, and seeing how we link with the other agenda issues that we have at the regional and international levels. And then, of course, the center will be a launch pad for action for feminist campaigns, because we will reflect, we will strategize, and then launch campaigns. It will also be a business and institution hub to showcase women's businesses, and also support young people who would like to start up initiatives and are looking for space and knowledge and networks that they can leverage on. And then it will be a space to strengthen women's skilling through the training facilities that it will host. So that is what the center will do. So we would like to invite you and all the people out there to be a part of making this center a reality. Our financial target to make this center a reality is $7.8 million. And we plan to phase our construction. So the cost of the first phase that will set up this structure, which will be the full structure and the ground floor and first floor, will be $4 million, about $4.8 million. And we already have something. We have land for construction in Kasangati. We have the structural and architectural drawings in place. So what I was showing you is not just pictures. It's actually real, and we have all the documentation. We have the bills of quantities. We already have approvals from Wakiso. We did a feasibility study that confirmed that our project was feasible. We have land in Makerere which we plan to sell, and those funds would then contribute to the establishment of the center. And to date, we have total cash and pledges of about 120 million. We have a fundraising infrastructure. So our board of directors oversees, of course, the overall activities of the institution. Under the board, we have a number of committees. So the Sustainability and Investment Committee oversees the Imara Women's Center. And we have created, as part of this fundraising, the Marketing and Fundraising Committee that Henry made mention of. And in the Marketing and Fundraising Committee, we have different strands because we'd like to raise resources from different groups of people. So we have a private sector strand, we have a development partner strand, we have a youth strand. You heard Angel talk about the youth strand, she's part of the youth strand, and we have a mass appeals strand. So we have put a lot of thought into how we will generate the resources that will establish the center. We broke ground on the 7th of March in Kasangati. Those are some of the pictures from the groundbreaking. And our guest of honor then was the Honorable Martha Karua from Kenya. Breaking ground was a key milestone for us because, you know, once you break ground, there is no turning back. So that was a key milestone, and we are glad that we were able to do that. And we have now embarked on the active fundraising. So as I conclude, I would like to ask all of us to walk this journey to establish the Imara Women's Center with us. This will be a great contribution to advancing the work that we have made a contribution to in the advancement of gender equality and women's rights. So we recognize the contributions of everyone in the different spaces that you're in: private sector, civil society, the media, the diplomatic corps, development partners, and so on. And we celebrate that work. But we are also aware of the many realities in the context in which we operate. The realities that I talked about earlier, but also the realities of inequality, realities of abuse. And these we see in the institutions we work in the communities that we are a part of, and so on. So would like to ask you to ally with us and partner in any way that you can. So one of the ways that we are putting out there is contributing a small, consistent amount over your desired period of time. So for example, you can say, I will contribute 50,000 or 100,000 every month for the next 3 years or for the next 1 year. That is one of the possibilities. We also ask you to journey with us towards having a community of 1 million women and men giving at least 1,000 shillings. Would like to demonstrate that we can actually generate this money locally. So we have embarked on a 1 million campaign where we are looking for 1 million women to give us at least 1,000 shillings a month. 1,000 shillings from 1 million women will give us 1 billion shillings every month. So join us and reach out to women who you think can contribute this 1,000. It will go a long way in contributing to our target. We are also asking you to be ambassadors of this idea in your community of influence and link Imara to potential givers. You can organize a fundraising drive in your mosque, in your investment club, in your church. We also have memorabilia that we are selling. You can see some of it here and some of it at the back. We have Lepo pins, we have hoodies, we have t-shirts, we have flasks, we have cups. All this is in an effort to contribute funds towards the home. And then, of course, also to promote our online fundraising drive with your engagement. So we are counting on you as part of the group that will enable us to be able to make the Imara Women's Center a reality. So we are calling on you to work with us and imagine Imara. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think from Patricia's sharing, one thing came back to me. We've had Imara Fridays as women for Uganda. And the narrative around Imara Fridays was to say that we actually can. This looks like an audacious dream, but dreams are built on hands of people that believe they can. The other thing that came back to me was telling our stories and how for a very long time the women and African stories have been told by other people. And how dare we wake up and decide that we will tell our own stories. Isn't that an audacious dream? Yeah. Thank you very much, Patricia. There's a team from Imara that wants to send around consent forms for pictures for this particular event, and they'll give you the forms so that you can fill. If you feel like you want us, to capture you in moment for the brand launch, that you were a part of this, you walked this journey with us, the consent forms will be there for you. Maybe before we even go to that, one of the key issues around Imara that I believe in, because I'm on the youth strand and I fundraise like crazy, and I ambassador like crazy. So one of the things is pause, reflect, and strategize. We do hold safe spaces as women. For a very long time, that has been part of how we've managed to go forward and build resilience. And Imara Women's Center reminds me of places you could go to pause, because we all need to pause, to reflect on how far we've come, because that is very important in knowing where you're going, and to strategize for the future. And I want to lobby, as part of the youth strand, that we be part of that. Next on our program, we have a young lady by the names of Miss Jamila Mayanja. And when we talk women in business, the name Jamila Mayanja should be one of the names that remind you of, resilience, persistence, and possibilities for the future. And before she cut me short, but before Jamila comes, we'll definitely have a response to Patricia's conversation. But Jamila reminds me of, how small beginnings build to greater heights. And we cannot imagine an eco future without thinking about the young women in business that, are holding on and audaciously, rising to the occasion. And I want Jamila to be close to me, And then here we had a conversation around what then should be our reactions to Patricia's. I don't know if there is an extra microphone that could go around, and I begin with this corner on, when we think about an eco future and Imara Women's Center, what comes to your mind as an audience here?
Thank you. I'm Rose Zobiga, a woman member of parliament representing the people of Terego, but most importantly, the most rural MP in the 11th parliament. This is because my niche is that last woman, that last person no one can reach to, no one thinks about, is my niche in the 11th parliament. I feel so excited to be in this sitting. A colleague of mine said, I gave your name to be one of those to be here. I think she wanted me to be part of this fundraising. And I just want to say that it will be an insult to the community of Terego not to contribute to Imara. It's so exciting. And unfortunately, as a rural girl, it's my first time to come across this. I will really want to get to the organizers so that I put my humble contribution on behalf of the people of Terego. I'll be part and parcel of this, so I get a breathing space on earth. I'll be able to contribute every other time. Just reach out to us. I don't think there is going to be any woman member of parliament or any member of parliament in the 11th parliament. Get to the speaker and see how we can give a humble contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And post-pandemic, one of the conversations that a lot of us had with NGO Forum at the forefront and civil was on sustainability and how we can actually hold ourselves in this space. And I'm very glad that parliamentarians are giving us a platform to be able to say, look, this money can be found. We have the money. Let me invite Jamila before.
Thank you and good morning, colleagues. My name is Gorethi Namuga. I represent the people of Mogola County, that is in Sembabule district. When I had 1 million people, each contributing 1,000 shillings, I thought of political leaders, especially women, as a way to pass through as a drive to really reach this target. 1 million people, when you have over 150 women MPs in parliament, I think this is a target achievable. So we just have to digest this and we'll see how we can reach on our colleagues to ensure that really, as the 11th parliament, as my colleague has suggested, we can have this one achieved without you for struggling a lot. The founders have done much on their part, and
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, by the way, there was a suggestion that you forward a paper to Parliament that when they play this East African anthem, we are allowed to dance a bit. It's got such a wonderful, wonderful beat. Once again, I would like to formally welcome our guest of honor and thank her for the time. Guest of honor, you must be wondering how I came here. I didn't float to MC. I'm on the committee. The committee is made up of women. They voted an MP, an MC. I was unopposed. But then they smuggled in a co-MC. Tricia is here with me and will be managing this event this morning. Honorable Minister, you found us in full flow discussion on how women will be able to make an impact by mobilizing and organizing women to contribute to the Imara Center. I will ask the Executive Director at a later stage to give you a quick synopsis of her presentation she made earlier, but at some of that you'll get in the speech of our Vice Chair, Sylvia, who is seated here. So I'd like that conversation to continue before we invite our Vice Chair to formally welcome all of you here today. So Jamila was going to speak, so Jamila, if you can come up and respond to the presentation that was made to Patricia. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jamila Mayanja. I'm the founder and team lead at Smart Girls Uganda. I'm really excited about the Imara Women's Center to come and play. I like talking about my work through stories. So allow me to tell you a story of myself and the girls that I empower. When I was in my high school, when I had just started, all of you have heard of Makerere Business School, right? When I had just been enrolled after Nabisunsa, I was going to do business administration. When I reached, my dad checked me in Akamwesi hostel, and a few months down the road, he died. And when he died, unfortunately, with rough relatives, we lost all his riches. My dad was one of the richest Hajis in Uganda. He was among the founders of Hotel Africana. So when he died, big in Akamwese and Moobs, I woke up one day with only 500 shillings in my wallet. And I had to decide whether to make a phone call with it, to ask someone for money, or to buy breakfast, or to use it for transport, to come to town and ask someone to help me. And while I was going, I decided to use it for transport. So while I was going, I met a gentleman who was giving out flyers. By then, it was SMS1 Uganda Limited. And I got out of the taxi and told the gentleman, I bet I can give out 10,000 flyers. And if I give them out, you'll pay me. And that's what I did. I gave out even more than 10,000. Fast forward, that became my business. I started working with SMS1. They promoted me to marketing manager. And later on, I became so passionate to empower women into getting into business. I remembered when I was about to graduate, I started something called the gel laundry mobile business, where I was hiring young women from slum areas to try and get into door-to-door laundry businesses. And this was amazing that after some time when I hired them, I started with just 2 ladies that grew to 50. I would help them later, sit down and teach them entrepreneur and employable skills training, and help them with the money I was paying them through the laundry to start their businesses. I did this for some time. It led me go to the yearly fellowship in the US. I was mentioned by Barack Obama. It was amazing. This 2015 was my famous year because of that. But fast forward, coming back while I was doing the laundry business, I noticed that the ladies, because I was being particular, I would hire former sex workers, I would hire survivors of gender-based violence. After the business had become so famous, and also me uploading my famousness from the fellowship in the US, later on I noticed the ladies I was helping were actually failing. And I was bothered because most of them, no offense, most of them when they would start businesses, they would decide to start small market stalls, vending small businesses in food stalls. They'll start tailoring. And because they were from the same area, they'd end up struggling for clients. And if they don't get the clients, they'd give up and go back on the streets. So I was really bothered. Why does society believe that when a woman has to start a business, she has to start food vending, she has to start a boutique? And I was bothered that now the ladies I was helping, all of them had gone back to zero. And I hate being a failure. And here people knew me, I was on BBC with this laundry business. So it was normal. You couldn't come and I give you the results. So I was seated and watching, I do not know, I'm very good with animations. And I was watching a cartoon called Zootopia. I don't know some of you if you've watched it with your kids. So it's about this small bunny that wanted to be a policewoman among these very huge hippos and elephants. And I wanted to challenge that status quo. I wanted to prove that women can also take up skills that the society believes are male-dominated. I was walking by a garage, and then I saw it was full of men, and I come into this garage, and it tells me, oh, we've seen you at SMS1, can you come and market our garage? And I'm like, you can't afford me nowadays, I'm so expensive. But what I want to do, I want to challenge some of the girls that I've empowered in the J-Mobile to try and come up and start within these male-dominated skill sets, mechanics. And that's how my organization, Smart Girls Uganda, started. And that's how one of our biggest program, the Girls with Tools Business Scaling, started. I started with 5 ladies and started having them in this garage to learn mechanical engineering. And I was very particular to pick ladies who are mostly teenage mothers, who are ladies who are dropped out of school, who are ladies who are surviving through gender-based violence. Now let me tell you another story. I have one of the ladies. To my ladies, Mujem Babalabi. So, why I love what Imara is doing, it's kind of fully embodied in what I'm doing. And I applaud you so much for having this dream. This is, you can stand here. So, this is Sharifa. When Sharifa stopped in P7, when she stopped in P7 in the rural areas, in PG, she was married off at 19 years old because they couldn't afford to keep her in school. At 19 years old, she quickly had her 2 kids. And after her 2 kids, the family of the boy felt like she was a burden. She couldn't be taken care of anymore. And because her parents also thought since she was married, she was mandated to take care of her bigger family. Yet she was also barely surviving. So she decided to leave the kids and come to Kampala to try and work like a house help. But being who she is, and she doesn't speak a lot of English, she doesn't want to clean your houses. She wanted to be much more. So she had over girls with tools, because what we do, we work a lot with local leaders, the chairmen, the councillors, to mobilize ladies like this. And we use a lot of community radio. She heard about girls with tools. And she was excited. A lady being a mechanic, she couldn't believe it. Now she's part of our program. You'll never meet a better mechanic than this lady. Yeah? This is Sharifa. This is Ruth, sorry. So Ruth, when COVID had just started, she was in her S3. And in her S3, we all know schools were closed for a very long time. Unfortunately, Ruth her family is not well off. Her father has anemia. Ania, sorry, I confused that. So her grandmother got lost, and he has anemia and looking after 4 young girls, and she's among the oldest. COVID happens, the father lost his job, and unfortunately for Ruth, there was a young boy who lied to her that I'll give you money to try and help for your family, and then got her impregnated. Ruth is just 17 years old, and she gave birth last year. And I'm sorry I get emotional with her story, because when she had joined before COVID, at COVID we were doing very low skills, and we saw her before she got pregnant, and we warned the father to keep her safe and have her at the center, but she couldn't. And Yes, at first when we talked to her, this young boy was very convincing beyond us and got her pregnant. But the moment she got her pregnant, the same typical stories that we see that boys say, me, I don't give birth. That's what, like you see these things on TV until they happen to someone you know. Yeah? That's what happened to Ruth. She got pregnant and the father tried to chase her away, but we sat down with the father and told her, we will raise this baby. She's our girls with tools baby. Ruth is amazing in mechanics. She will service your car out of the world. Yeah? We have taken care of our baby, our girls with tools baby, and the father couldn't believe that a teenage mother, he thought she was a last cause. She was going to throw her in the rural areas. Our Girls with Tools Business Skilling Center does not judge the girls that we enroll. We do not care their education background. We do not care if they have skills or not. You can go back. So I started that program to challenge status quo, but to actually empower young girls in male-dominated STEM skill sets. So we train them in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, metal and woodworks, construction, plumbing. But don't get this wrong. There's gender equality and gender equity. There are some girls who can take up those skill sets as much as they're machines. That's not their passion. So we still add on tailoring, we add on saloon work, we add on urban farming. But we make sure all of them have a concept of solar renewable energy and also recycling and also innovation. So with the girls in electrical installation and the girls in tailoring, we innovated what we call a solar smart bag. And this is a recycled, she can also show you about a bit. This is a bag the girls in tailoring make out of recycled sugar sacks that are thrown in the slum areas. And we make this bag and add a solar panel so that young girls in the rural areas can carry it to school to be able to access lighting at night, but within it, it has a package that can be able to help carry their reusable pads. The girls in mechanical engineering, electrical installation are now assembling an electrical vehicle car that is powered by solar. We have I can go on and on, but it's with such centers Imara is providing and wants to fundraise for that can have us, the sisters who are doing such business things for the women, to try and get them to advance to another level. Don't get this wrong. We ask for funds, but we make sure our girls, we've launched an all ladies girls with tools garage, where these girls, when you bring your cars, you're giving business to them. Yeah? We've made sure they've started their businesses. We have girls who have started Solar Girls Africa, so you're promoting them. So when you promote and support such a center, indirectly you're supporting us. When you come to our training center, you're supporting some people like us. We make sure we balance in helping such young girls who do not have access to funds, yeah, and we also enroll young ladies. We have girls who are taking law, but are now enrolled in our center to take up mechanics. So we do holiday programs. So if your girls have your girls seated at home, as much as you want her to be a doctor, let her play around with her hands. Let her try, so that instead of you looking for an electrician, you have an in-house electrician. But when you supported her and enrolled her in our center, you've helped us empower another lady who can't manage to actually pay those fees. So again, I'm Jamila Mayanja, and I'm passionate to challenge status quo. I'm passionate to make sure women and girls, what a woman can do, a girl can do. So what a woman can do, a boy can do. Oh my God, I'm saying it wrong. What a man can do, a woman can do, and even much better. Yes, I have proved the fact that that title makes sense. When you empower a girl, you're empowering the nation. I've seen outright my girls, those Sharifa is now helping her kids, making sure to stay in school. You understand? Like Chitetika, the community there has become also a community center. What exactly Imara is doing, our girls actually doing. So I want to thank you so much, and please support Imara, support us, because we are the future. Thank you.
Wow. Just when you thought dreaming was not possible, you dream and you show up, right? Yeah, that bag is a highlight for me. At this particular junction, I want to invite Mrs. Sylvia Mwembwa, who is a vice chair for the board, and to just give us, one or two and welcome remarks for the guest of honor.
Amazing. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Are we hungry? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Issues of women. When they start talking about women, every time it's about sentiments. But we should not feel sorry for ourselves. We should just forward. We keep going. I'm so amazed by that bag. I've been looking at it with the minister. The solar panel on a bag. I was on a committee for FAWE, that educational organization for the indigent girls. And one time we went to Adjumani. When we went to Adjumani, they told us that P7 candidates, senior 4 candidates, and senior 6, when it is time for exams, at about 6:37, they go to the streets to read. Said, what? And they do the same exams? Like my children who are in Green Hill? When will this inequality ever? But we have to continue. Can you imagine reading from a street light? And the ones in Adjumani are not like the ones in Kampala here. They're a little bit dim, but you'd find girls there seated. And you know what happens as they go back home? Some don't reach. Others, as they are reading for their exams, they don't even do them, because eventually they become pregnant by the teachers who escort, by the uncles who pick them. It's all madness. But we have to move on. Our distinguished guest of honor, Honorable Evelyn Aniti, we are so happy that you're here. The ministers present, members of parliament present, our funders, development partners present, members of government institutions, religious leaders, our founder members, the private sector fraternity, our sisters and brothers from the civil society, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Good morning once again. On behalf of the Board of Directors and members of Forward, it is with great honor and pleasure to welcome you to this Imara brand launch ceremony under the theme Imagine Imara, our strength, our hope. Ladies and gentlemen, 27 years ago, Forward was born. And as a middle-aged woman today, we have grand aspirations, which are full of energy, independence, beautifulness, and they're very knowledgeable. I just remember when I was 27 years, I had just had only one baby, and I was so strong. And after having that one baby, I promised my husband I would have 8. Ask me how many I have. We shall talk during lunchtime. But at least at our age, we are vibrant, we are strong, and we shall make it. So it is this drive that causes us to think more about how we sustain work over the next 25 or 50 years. Given the growing pushbacks on our work towards gender equality within a context of ever increasing cuts from development partners on gender equality in the global south, it's important that as a sector, we are creating initiatives that will strengthen the women's movement. Our work continues to experience setbacks despite gains on the women's economic empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about women's economic empowerment, we should not look at only the ladies who are seated in this room. Our thoughts, our mind, our vision should go deep to those women in Kawera Maido, in Bukomansi. Where are they? Where are they, and how far and how much can we help? That's when we shall talk about the women's movement. And we are still in that struggle. So we always say the mission is still possible. It is not impossible. The mission is possible. When I look back, for me when I was at the university, I started working on issues of women's rights when I was in my second year, law school. That's how back the interest came. When I look at the gains, I'm like, okay. But when I look at the other side, I'm like, more has to be done. So the mission is possible and we have to continue. So when we talk of our work, it should continue much as we experience setbacks. So we do have gains on women's economic empowerment, on legislation, on different areas like domestic violence, and women's emancipation and participation. But we don't want women to only participate in politics only. We also want to see women participating in other economic activities that empower women. I know whoever is in this room, you know what it means for a woman to have some money. It's a little different. So we have to support those who are down. When I look at Honorable Anite, I don't know how many of you have been in Arua. She's not only a politician. There is some big thing there. When you go there, it has this state of art. And you're like, hey, okay. It's not only women in politics, but there are also women in business. And it's a nice one. So those are some of the role models we have. And we have to sell the idea. So the Imara Center is ours, and we have to envision the kind of strength and the kind of hope that we have to put into other people so that we work towards the equal future. You know, I don't know what happened, but when they were talking about women's emancipation, I think some people did not get it right. Other people thought we want the same power, or we want the same body parts like men. That's not what we meant. We just want to be treated equally so that we are also on those decision-making tables. Not only men. And at this point, we want to thank Forward, because there are so many women members of parliament that have a story about Forward. And those are the people at the decision-making tables. Today, I was telling one of my friends, we were together in A-level, and I had taken about, it's even ashaming, 20 years without seeing her. But we're in the same room at campus. But of course, you keep asking, how is so-and-so, how is so-and-so? That's Grace. But these are the women making decisions. Now she's the CEO of EcoBank. That's what we meant by women's emancipation. Not to say that we don't want men to talk, but for us to also have a space. Because women are very important. So the Imara Center is a bold dream for forward. And so we have chosen to pursue that against a proverb that says, if one's dream doesn't scare them, then they are not dreaming enough. When Patricia was presenting and people were seeing a building, my eyes were just turning around to see what is the reaction of some of the people who have just had this for the first. And everyone's like, the dream is big, but we are going for it. And it's going to be in phases. So I was so happy to hear from the two honorable members of parliament. They were so encouraging. They said it's possible. And then they even told us how they are going to mobilize. For me, if I get how many women in my constituency, this is going to work. You know? So the dream is big, but we have to dream big. So our distinguished guests, allow me to take this opportunity to welcome all of you. Because of your presence here, it shows that you believe in bold dreams and the desire to walk this journey with us. We really appreciate you. And I also take this opportunity to thank you for keeping time. I was here by 7:15 and this room was almost half full. Thank you so much for keeping time. At this point, I want to take this opportunity to thank our government. It has given us space for us to carry out all our activities. We thank them very much. We also thank our development partners, the different ministries, departments, and agencies for all the support that you've given forward, because I know we've been working together. The private sector leaders, we thank you so much for sparing time. The civil society, you know, every time I look at myself and my CV, I am almost everywhere. I started with civil society, then I went into international organizations, then to government. What don't I know? Something somewhere. It seems I'm well placed. So I want to thank you so much for all the support that you've given forward for all these years. As I conclude, allow me to recognize my members of board who are around here. Could you please stand up so that our visitors can see you? I saw our former chair, you're part of the board, madam. Yes, thank you so much for finding time. We are the people on the board, and we try our level best by putting in time to make forward what it is. As a board, we remain committed to ensuring that this initiative becomes a reality. I hope that you'll find this event fulfilling and join us by supporting the establishment of the Imara Women's Center. Honorable Minister, before you came, there was a very young lady here. She spoke so well. There were different poems. You were like singing, but very educated. You see, with the young people these days, my son is 21 years, the oldest. He's in the university. But sometimes when he sends me messages, I don't understand. So I write back and say, Benji, what did you mean by this initial? Say, hey, that means because. Say, oh, no, please. When you're writing to mommy, write in full. Or record an audio. But guess what? Even when he records an audio and sends it, I hear things like kinda. I hear things, I'm like, oh, am I this old? What's happening? But she mentioned one thing when she was teaching us here how to sing. You know, it was like a poem, but it had a message. And I want to finally say. She said, the future is female, and it is in detail. And I am adding, Imara is such. So please, support us so that we see the Imara Center become a reality. Once again, thank you so much for honoring our invitation, sparing time to listen to all the young people say the women's crap. Those are also their words. I thought I told myself, I said crap was something, but I said no, there's many things. I don't know whether they'll get a dictionary, but I get confused. So the future is female, and it is in detail. And Imara is such a one. Please support us. Together we shall shape the future for God and my country. Thank you.
I like the future is female and it's in detail. Before the guest of honor comes, we're going to give her a razzle dazzle, a poem from a lady who also sits on the youth strand. And so in using poetry, we've decided that we will make these things known. Jackie Asume says poem. And so I want to invite Laker to come and give us a poem.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. One day, one piece for you. I hope you enjoy it. We are a long way from home. We are a long way from home. Home being a world in which women, human beings of the female persuasion, can breathe as opposed to gasping for air. A drowning people, struggling with all their might simply to break the cold surface of those turbulent waters. Forced to keep on taking deep breaths because the moment we come up, we allow simply one inhale before we are sent thrashing desperately back under those cold waters. The waves, the non-existent pockets in our skirts and dresses are filled with the weights of misogyny and the debilitating gender bias, aiding glorious in our struggle-filled descent. As a people, we have been forced to learn how to hold our breath. We have had lots of practice. We hold our breath for every man that walks past us on a dark street. Hold our breath as we send our daughters out into the world not knowing if they'll make it back home. Hold our breath with pessimistic anticipation for every woman that stands for a position of power. We hold our breath. But that's not the only thing we have been taught to hold. We hold our breath as we send our sons and daughters out to fight wars that they had no business in fighting. We hold our breath as we wait for the results of a pregnancy test. Hold our breath at our fathers and husbands' deaths, and again at the reading of their wills in case they're deemed unfit to manage their property or there's a secret family somewhere out there. We hold our breath, but our breaths are not the only thing we have been taught to hold. We hold back our anger lest we be deemed too aggressive. We hold back our ambition lest we be deemed too greedy. We hold back our feelings lest we be deemed too emotional, unstable, weak. We hold back our suffering, our exhaustion, groans, aches, our pains, because us speaking about it makes them uncomfortable. You see, we've been forced to learn patience. Patience is a virtue. But indeed, too much of it and that patience can become a disease. Wait too long to seek treatment and you become the deceased. The world record for the longest breath held is 24 minutes, 37.36 seconds. The female population has been holding its breath for thousands of years. And I think it's about time we start breathing again. I think it's about time we start letting ourselves go. Letting ourselves breathe, emote, be greedy, be ambitious. Aren't we allowed to? It is time for us to let ourselves simply be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, I just would like to make two introductions. I know you know them. Honorable Tezra, the founders. Honorable Tezra is here. Honorable Belinium Chibi is here. So these are the ones who swept the way you heard about. Now, when you try to convince Honorable Minister to come and speak to you, she always says, okay, but first open the door for me. And that's why I'm asking Grace Murisa, the CEO of EcoBank, to come and open the door in this effort. Grace. And after that, I'll invite the Honorable Minister to address us. So these are the women who are climbing up to the ladder. Parliament is full, business is full. I think, men, let's go back to the village.
It's not yet full, Henry. There's still a lot of room. Okay. The Honorable Minister, Ms. Evelyn Anite, the Vice Chair Forward, Ms. Sylvia Mwewa, the Executive Director Forward. Ladies and gentlemen, a good morning to you all. Before I start, or before I open the door, as it were, allow me to congratulate you today. I think I've had an opportunity to speak with you severally, and we've come a long way just listening to you. I've also had an opportunity to visit you. But more importantly, when I look at the task ahead, I want to congratulate you hugely that from the time you conceptualized this dream to where we are today, you have done so much. And like they say, it's the small steps. You start with the small steps. So, as I congratulate you today, I also want to take an opportunity to applaud and salute all the women that came before us. The women that started this initiative, for the courage, because thinking 25 years back and where we are today, it took unusual courage. For the courage, for the commitment, and the sacrifices that you made that has outlived you and continue to lift all of us. I feel honored to be here and to be part of the Imara dream and fulfilling the dream. And based on that, I'd like to commit that as a seed, I will contribute with my own funds at a personal level. I'll contribute 1 million shillings as a seed, but to fulfill this dream, and because this is not something that we're going to complete today, but rather we're talking about the next 3 or so years, I will continue to contribute 300,000 shillings into this project for the next 3 years. Thank you. I also commit to join the private sector fundraising initiatives. I've seen a number of fundraisers, and thank you, Henry, for all the work that you do relentlessly. So I do thank you and wish you huge, huge success. And I'm looking forward to the day we'll be unveiling this wonderful place for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grace. When the Vice Chair was speaking about kids reading under the lampshade, I remembered a story that Honorable Anite told about her early years as a child. And she was one of those who were reading. But look at her now. Huh? May I invite you, Honorable Minister, to address us? And may I thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. members of parliament present, the members of diplomatic corps, the heads of government parastatals who are present, the founder members of Forward, the board members of Forward, representatives of government agencies, the private sector fraternity, the civil society leaders, my friend, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. It's exciting to be a woman. Good morning. If you're a woman, say good morning. And I want to thank all the men who have joined us, the women, for putting on skirts. Thank you, thank you. Let the men stand up and we clap for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, men. You are the few that we put our confidence and trust that we can make it. Keep with us. We don't want to overtake you. We just want to make the world a better place to live. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a written speech, but I'm going to solve it. Because I want to speak from my heart and to another heart of a woman and to a man who believes that the women can do it. I want to thank Forward because I'm a product of Forward. But before I tell you the story of how I became a product of Forward, I need to tell you who Anita is. Because very many people think that Anita is a product of President Museveni. That when they see Anita, they just see nothing but President Museveni. Yeah, it is true, he has contributed greatly to making who I am, but I also contributed to making who I am. My name is Anita Evelyn. My mother is called Sarah Wokoro. She's a businesswoman. My mother did not go to school. My mother tells me her story of how she got pregnant with me at the age of 17 when she was in exile and doing nothing but fishmongering. She was a fishmonger. And my mom tells me that when she got pregnant, my dad, whom I love very much, whom I did not know actually did what he did by denying that he was responsible for my mother's pregnancy at the time. My mom tells me it was very tough for her. She had to sleep on a pile of grass. She got pregnant by a Christian man, but yet she came from a Muslim family. So they chased her out of home, which was their home in exile in DRC. My mom tells me, therefore she had to go to the camp in Dungu. And there she gave birth to me. And she was with her mother, who was the only one who accepted her, because the rest of the family denied her. And as she was with her mother felt that if she continued to stay with me in the refugee camp in DRC in Dungu, then it would be very, very difficult for her to see me grow, because there was a lot of kwashako, there was a lot of dysentery, diarrhea, so many little babies were really dying. And so my mom tells me that my grandma then asked her to come to Aru with me. She didn't know what to do, she didn't know where to go because her family had turned away from her. But she came to Aru with that resilience. She tells me a very amazing story of how she had to continue selling fish, and she would tell different women in the market to carry me in shifts. And these women did it with joy. And they all carried me. I don't know how many mothers I ended up having, because they were sharing me in turns. When she goes out to sell, she will give me to another woman. The woman will carry, another one will come. But when she became, she's a very beautiful woman. Very tall, light-skinned. She has big hips. You not give her me to be her child. But when she got back her glow, my father came back. And my father's sisters actually told my father, have you seen her lately? She's very beautiful. First go and see the baby. They went to see me and then they said, I looked like my dad. And they told my dad. So my dad, not only because he wanted to come back for the child, but because he saw my mother looking beautiful again. And went and said, I think I am responsible. Long story short, my mom accepted. And I want to tell you, in 1991, they got wedded in church. And that's how we came back to Uganda. A child who did not know how to speak English, who was largely in DRC. I did not go to nursery. I came straight to primary 3. And because I was very determined, my first language was Lingala, and nursery was in French. And many people do not know that story because they just saw me when I was already in politics. But I want to tell you the first time, as I went to Arua Hill, and my parents got married, and then they got 3 other siblings. I was very determined because I wanted to really defy my background. I did not want to be judged by that. And I worked extremely hard. I had to stay with the girl who spoke English, not any other language. The one who was number 1 in class was my friend. I had to make deliberate choices because I wanted to be a better person. So the choice we make as women is what determines what we are. I was very deliberate and worked so hard that when my mom came and continued doing business, and she was as uneducated as she was, uneducated, she said, I want my child to be educated. I want my child to go to the university. And she worked extremely hard. And I don't fear the past, and I don't fear to say this. I come from a family of 14 children, and we're only 4 from my mom. My older brothers and sisters, they were very supportive, but yet they could not fear to tell us, your mother has come to disorganize our home. But when we grew up, my father kept on bringing us together, and that made me cry. But I would cry and go and tell mommy, I want to blame her. Why did you take someone's husband? But I realized it wasn't her fault. And I realized that it was not by mistake that I was in a polygamous family, because the big numbers helped me to fight and know how to live and fight and survive. I had to survive, and I had to hold the hands of my sisters. And I told them, we are not failures. We must succeed. Friends, I want to tell you that I worked so hard with the help of my mom that all of us, my mother's children and my father's children, managed to finish school, and we all work today. But back to my story, which was very unique, because God then blessed my mom with money. As a businesswoman, she graduated from being a fishmonger to becoming a restaurant owner. She had the best restaurant in town. There was no better restaurant in Arua than my mom's restaurant. People will queue and stand to wait until they get a table to sit. Then she moved from having this restaurant to becoming a transporter. Business that women do not even go for. My mom became a transporter with BAT, and today she owns the biggest transport and logistic company in DRC. She still goes back to DRC. She did not forget it. But I want to tell you that woman who did not go to school will beat me and my siblings and all my other brothers and sisters if we did not perform well in class. Literally beating us and even denying us to eat food. But that taught me to be strong. So I told her, Mommy, when I go to Kampala, the place where you come to buy clothes and go back, I don't want to come back to Arua. Because I've crossed the border, I want to go to the capital city. Don't leave me at the border. So in 2004, when I finished high school, so my mom said, okay, now it's time for you to go to Kampala. But before that, I told her that I wanted to go and work on radio. And Mommy says, I don't want you to go to work on radio because I don't want you to follow my footsteps. The men will see you and make you pregnant. But that rang a bell. And that made me to first of all tell Mommy, the first thing I'll do is to protect myself by getting saved. So I got saved. As I got saved, I learned that my body was the Lord's temple. But now I did not have to allow anybody to mess with it. So but I promised her that I will not get pregnant until I finish school and get wedded. And I want to give glory to God that that is actually what happened. But as I went to the radio and worked, it made me to know what I wanted to become. So when I crossed the borders from DRC to Arua, from Arua to Kampala, not only Kampala, direct to Mukono, then when I listened to the radio, another woman inspired me. I listened to the radio. Honorable Betty Kamia, the now IGG, I heard her speak on radio with this passion, and she was in opposition. But the passion with which she was speaking on radio, on Ichimeza, I was like, I think I can be like that woman. And I'm in here too, at the university. And I'm like, if the woman can speak like that, why don't I go and look for where she is speaking? And I also go and speak like her. I want to tell you, I got inspired by this woman. And I went and looked for this radio. It was Club Obligatos, Ichimeza, Radio 1. I went there, and I found so many other women and men, but they were all in opposition. And the only thing that intrigued me to put up my hand was they were telling lies. So this, and the woman is my friend. And the lie they told was that it takes 2 weeks to travel from Arua to Kampala. As a child, I wondered, I said, hey, is politics about lies? So I said, no, this is not right. I remember probably mode of transportation, they walked. So I said, no, it can't be. I have to put up my hand. And the radio, the host, I remember Waswa, he said, what does that young girl want to say? I was thinner than the way I am now. I actually weighed 50 kgs. Today I'm happy I weigh at least 65. So I thought, I put up my hand and he didn't want to pick me at first. But I insisted and I stood up. So when I stood up, she picked me. So what do you want to say, young girl? And I went there. I said, I have no political party that I believe in. I only wanted to set the record straight. For me, I came to from Arua. It was my first time to come to Kampala. But I do remember that I did not take 2 weeks. I did not count the hours very well, but I remember that we set off at 5 a.m. And by 8, I was in Arua Park, and they told me that I've arrived. So I don't know what these members are saying, but I think in politics we should speak the truth. Oh, they all came. You're from West Nile. You must not say that. How can we are supposed to oppose anything about this government? I said, what do you mean we're from West Nile? We're supposed to oppose anything about this government and everything. So the members of opposition came, the ones in NRM, everyone started picking my phone. So, but it opened me the way because I spoke the truth. And once the opposition picked my number, and this is true story, Honorable Funga Rokaps, on hearing my name and said, this girl is from West Nile, I have to come. He drove from home to Club Obligato, and because he speaks my language, I was comfortable with him. And he says, Anite, I have to take you to go to Najanankumbi. I said, it's okay. What is Najanankumbi again? He said, that is the headquarters of FDC. So he takes me to Najanankumbi. And I go to Najanankumbi. And while I reach there, I get to meet Dr. Besije for the first time. And I'm like, okay. So what do you people do? Me, I'm not a politician. Me, I'm a student. I just spoke. They said, no, you're eloquent and all this, you have to join us. And I said, okay, let me call my mom, because I remembered that she made me who I am. I called my mom. She said, my daughter, I don't want to see you in politics. Don't go there. But at the time, I had my small capability. I had given that mobile number to so many people who came to ask. So when my mom told me, I don't want you to go into politics, I went back to school. So what do I want? I want a job. So long story short, I got a phone call from Radio Uganda. Another woman gave me a job immediately and said, come, you're very eloquent. We just heard you for the first time. Come and start part-timing. And I come to the radio. And shortly after that, I got a call from my former boss, who is now Member of Parliament, Fredo Polot. I said, we love the way you're very eloquent. Please come and we mentor you. And we'll give you a job. For me, the other one was join politics. This is job. I said, job, politics, job, what should I go? Where? If it were you, where would you go? Politics, job. So I said, okay, let me go for job. So they recruited me at the media center, and they were giving me 75,000. But as I was there, I was learning many more things. Then from media center is when I come across an article run by Forward. Forward was asking for young people between my age, it was 18 to 25, to write articles worth 600 words. And if you wrote that article, they will call you. So when I saw this, I said, I think I should go, I can write. So I picked that article Forward as I was at the media center and wrote the 600 words. And yes, Forward called me, and my lovely sister, mother, friend, mentor, Patricia, let's clap for her. She then took me to the training. And in the training, the women, when we were there, it was only women after women giving their testimonies. And I said, oh, actually it is possible. And this woman who inspired me most was actually Lina Zedriga, whom Madame Patricia brought to Twitter us. But Madame Patricia loved me so much, we called her Madame. And she's still Madame. She loved me so much. And she told me, the way you speak, I think you can be a good politician. And I'm like, are you sure? Mommy said no. She said, no, I'll talk to Mommy. You come. I said, but how do I do it? And then she said, this is how you're going to do it. And I want to tell you, Forward made me my first posters. And Forward showed me the way. And so President Museveni phoned me when Forward had already met me. And I want to tell you why I was able to be happy and proud of President Museveni is because I found that he loved women. And indeed, he loves women. Just look at the statistics. I thought the women would clap, because you never know what I'm planning to bring. And you'll be there. Because, true story, he actually loves women. Look, the vice president is a woman. The prime minister is a woman. The first deputy prime minister is a woman. The second deputy prime minister is a man. The third deputy prime minister is a woman. The minister of lands, a woman. Minister of gender, a woman. Continue mentioning. Minister of energy, woman. Minister of education, woman. Minister of investment and privatization for the whole country, woman. I mean, that is the job. creating wealth and job, woman. I want to tell you, he gave me position that was held by 2 men. And I bet those men were not better than me. I don't want to feel proud about it, but you all know what I do. How many people knew that there was a docket for investment and privatization? There were 2 different men holding it. So we women, given the responsibility, we can actually deliver. And for me, I decided to defy the odds. When they say no, I say yes. When they say sit down, I stand up. And I do it deliberately. And they label me that you're arrogant, you women. And I want to tell you, when women, we start doing things, whether in business, there's a very good friend of mine there. Very strong woman in business. And I admire her. Please, madam, stand up. The ones who are older than me, I have to madam them. Thank you very much. She's another woman who has defied all the odds. When she told me her story looked like my mother's story. She told me I don't have a degree, and I'm like, how do you speak good English? She told me so many things, and I'm very amazed and proud of her. She started business in West Nile, and the honey business. And her story inspired and really many more women. I just want to ask for a day that you continue calling these meetings and even invite younger women like the ones that you've invited there. Because when we give our testimonies, then we'll inspire them to become better people. So when Madame Patricia came to my office and said, I want us to build the Imara Women's Center, I told Madame Patricia, I will come with my small money, but me, I want to bring you President Museveni to build that women's center. Because the vision is big. I know that when we get President Museveni and let him know the number of women in Madame Patricia's speech, the number of political women who are very relevant, who have gone through the hands of Forwarding alone and contributed possibly to the development of this country, there will be no need and no reason for President Museveni to refuse for us to allocate budget for the Women Imara Center. Because the women are just so many. And the women are actually not drunkards. These are women of substance. These are women who are doing value addition in this country. These are women who are mothers. But they're not only mothers, but they're also educating their children. So I believe that we have to support the women. And because of what they supported me and made me who I am, Madame Patricia, today, I have brought 5 million. But I want to double the zeros. Yes. I just want you to give me until March next year, and I add the zeros to 50 million. You have to give back. Look back where you started. And if you are to give for the cause of this, just understand. First of all, do self-evaluation. Why am I giving? Is it for showbiz? But am I giving because I want to support a cause of a woman? I want to make this girl child who is a nobody to be somebody? Is it because for what they did something to me? So if you do that evaluation, you'll be able to give money. And Madame Patricia, don't despise any money. Every money is money. Recently, I had a birthday party. I was celebrating my 30 years on earth. And I called my staff at the hotel, which Madame Sylvia visited. By the way, I have that hotel, and it is circumstance. We women, we are very agile, resilient. We are also transformative. When this door is closed, we open another one. So when the political door closed, I said, wait a minute. I didn't even want to be a politician. So why don't I go and be what my mother is? Be a businesswoman. I changed my village home, which was for politics. I changed it into a factory. The whole compound, I built it up. I manufacture 5 different products today. I manufacture laundry bar soap. It's called Sabuni, and it's the best. I don't have any stock. It just sells. I manufacture body Vaseline, liquid detergent, hand wash, because I did not want to be defined by politics. Because for me, I know that with politics, without politics, Anita will still live. I survived being in the camp. So what can I not survive? So it is just the way you resolve it in your head. But back to this. These young people, a casual laborer gave me 1,000 shillings as a gift to my birthday. And I was like, this young boy, how did he think that he should say, happy birthday, madam, please have this 1,000 shillings. I felt so happy. I was touched, and I said, this young boy, who is an orphan, who had nothing, I had not paid him because it was his second day at work, and he was supposed to do 1 week, and then I pay him. I just hired him immediately, and I've told him I want him to go back to school from next year. So, when you give to Forode, don't fear that, oh, the CEO of the bank has given 1 million. Now for me, I came with nothing in my pocket. What am I going to give? Even the little God has put in your pocket, let's give. You're just adding the brick. The little. That said, I want to ask all of us to just walk slowly, and you bring me the basket like we did in church. We start the fundraising here. I put my 5. I want to see her 1. And we come slowly, we put. So that the women out there see that we have put. And the men are here. Because these men, for sure, they can't do without us. Ask them slowly, they'll tell you. They need us and we need them. Mama, don't you need us? Especially at midnight there. Even before. These men need us and we need them. So we coexist. So I really want, yeah, very good. You even brought the exact one like for church. So can we start with you? Thank you. Very good. No, if I hold it myself, they will bring. So let us fundraise for Imara Women's Center, because I was told to launch this fundraising drive. DJ, we women, we like to sing, so if you can put for us some nice music. As women, we actually know who we are. Don't we know? So I want that song of thank you very much. Thank you. I know who I am. Thank you very, very much. So play for us that song. Yes, we know who we are. And we dance and we give, we fundraise. I did this when I was young in church, and I remember that holding the basket like this. Many people came and gave. Thank you, my sister. Thank you. Very good. DJ, play the song. The others are waiting for us to dance, and then we give the money. We're even receiving dollars. Hey, everything will double. Thank you. Hey, DJ, you're managing us. Thank you very much. Thank you. My basket is getting full. These women and men are powerful. Yes. Thank you. Oh, women receiving euros. Thank you, Madame Patricia. Wow, that's so good. Thank you. You must hustle if you want to. If not finish, them will fight us. If them they run, them will be catch up. Can you imagine? We fill the baskets. Patricia, I don't know how many millions you have, but I can hand over to you. Thank you.
I want to introduce Isabella and Tricia. They're going to do a quick count, but please, Patricia, receive. They do a quick count, and before we leave the room, we know what we've done. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You know, despite her eloquence, Honorable Evelyn is very shy. She never told you her hotel is called Le Confidential in Arua. She didn't want to overmarket the thing. She kept it shy. I want to recognize the presence of the Honorable Woman MP, not Woman MP, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Rushenyi County, Naomi. You know, when the Honorable Jamu has opened the door, this was the next generation that came in. Young, tough women. We have to close today the way we started, with a wonderful poem. And I want to call back Lake. I'll be giving you, once I get to the totals from the fundraising that Honorable Evelyn did for us, I'll be giving you the numbers that you can send to mobile money. I think some pledge cards have also been placed on the tables. So let us celebrate the wonderful speech and wonderful mobilization with my Acholi Princess, Leke, to give us another poem.
Hello again. I often find myself wondering, with every little girl I come across, from a baby swaddled in her mom's arms sleeping comfortably in the taxi seat next to me, to the toddler energetically pulling on her father's arms in a supermarket, or that young kid swallowed securely on the lace on the back of or that young kid sleeping soundly, lace on the back of the lady selling fruit on the roadside, and basically every little angel I meet. I often find myself smiling as I wonder what life has in store for this little girl. Who will she grow up to be? What chances and opportunities will come her way? But then my smile starts to fade as I wonder if those chances will be the same as those who were born as boys instead, or those who have had the chance to have a better education, or who don't have as much risk in their life. And then it hits me. My smile starts to fade and it hits me. And I think to myself, it dawns on me, it hits me, this realization that we have a genuine need for a space where girls and women can go to find sisters and mentors who will welcome them with open arms, who will give them understanding, safety, guidance, opportunity, and strength, a space where girls and women, little angels and queens, can go to spread their wings and adorn their crowns, where they can find themselves with the prospect of becoming visionaries and future leaders, where the opportunities are endless and imagination is only limited by their own imagination. I know it's hard to imagine a space like this, one that carries the name of strength, that boldness and the resolution to welcome and nurture girls and women from all walks of life, open up to them with open arms, receive them whenever. A place where they can walk through its doors, no, not its doors, hard doors, because that space will be female. It will be female in its journey of women's rights and advancement of equality. Do not worry, because this space is already being born. This space already has a name, and its name is Imara. And all this space needs is for you to believe in her. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We just have one short video. I do apologize, Minister. I know you're going for a meeting. Ladies, you see these forms on the tables. These are consent forms. As you know, we have a Computer Misuse Act. If they take a picture of you and they put it in a publication, you have a right to challenge them. So they will only use those that were signed. Madam, we have a 1-minute video launching the brand. And so I'll ask, kindly play the video launching the brand.
Imara is a resilient and vibrant woman who stands her ground. She is not afraid to take up space. She is there to be seen and to be heard. She is welcoming and daring. Her outstretched arms are accepting of all people, as well as the challenges she will face. The circular energy around her represents continuity, renewal, and embodies many women. She is dressed in purple, the color of confidence, power, ambition, wisdom, independence, authority, and importance. Her light blue headscarf conveys peacefulness, calm, reliability, gentleness, and tranquility. She is surrounded by light pink, the color of warmth, hope, femininity, acceptance, and intuition. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Imara.
Thank you very much. Please to announce that we got in cash 7,447,000. We got in pledges 1,340,000, giving you a total of 8,747,000. We also got $22 and 10 euros. Well done. Our Chief Collector, Honorable Anita, thank you very much for, in fact, that was my job, which she stole. I had been invited to be the fundraiser and you just took my job just like that. You know this, she brought her lead car and I can't compete with this. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and I do apologize for delaying your departure. Thank you for joining the women here and giving so much hope. To all the ladies and gentlemen who have joined today, thank you very much. We have telephone numbers of the pledge cards. They're on the pledge cards. I don't know if you have a pledge card. I can read the numbers. Okay. Yes. Because you can, oh, they're in there. Yeah, they're in your folder. Please take a folder. It has the telephone numbers where you can send money on Airtel or MTN. And we have these beautiful flasks and cups. The flasks, the tall flask is 40,000. The short flask is 20,000. And the cups are 10,000. And the pins are 5,000. Go home with something today. Thank you very much.